1906 Constancy orders everything. Continuing in my usual state, blessed Jesus came for just a little and told me, "My daughter, how necessary it is that the soul be constant in doing the good which she has started. In fact, though she has a beginning, she will have no end, and not having an end, it is necessary that she conform to the ways of the eternal God. God is just, is holy, is merciful, He is the one who contains everything, but perhaps only for one day. No, always, 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 in the same way, the soul must not be patient, humble and obedient one day, and impatient, proud and capricious another day. These are broken virtues. It is like mixing black and white, light and darkness, everything is disorder, everything is confusion, ways which are completely dissimilar to her Creator. In this soul there is continuous war, because passions wage war against her, in fact. In seeing themselves being nourished so very often, they hope the victory is theirs. Demons, creatures, and even virtues themselves in seeing themselves disappointed, wage a fierce war against her, and end up nauseating her. If these souls are saved, oh, how much work the fire of purgatory will have to do. On the other hand, for a constant soul everything is peace, mere constancy itself already keeps everything in its place, passions already feel they are dying, and who is the one who, nearing death, thinks about waging war against anyone? Constancy is the sword that puts everything to flight, it is the chain that binds all virtues, in such a way as to feel caressed by them continuously, and the fire of purgatory will have no work to do, because constancy has ordered everything and has made the ways of the soul similar to those of the Creator. February 9, 1906 The union of our actions with those of Jesus is guarantee of salvation. Continuing in my usual state, I saw just the shadow of blessed Jesus, all afflicted, and almost in the act of sending chastisements. Upon seeing him, I said, from the way he appeared, who will be able not just to escape the chastisements, but even to obtain salvation? And he, changing appearance, said, "My daughter, the union of the human works with mine is the guarantee to be saved, because if two persons work in the same field, their working in that field is the guarantee that both of them must harvest. In the same way, one who unites his works with mine, it is as if he were working in my field, therefore, will he not harvest in my kingdom? Will he perhaps have to work united with me in my field, and then harvest in a kingdom completely foreign to me? Certainly not." February 12, 1906 The virtues make us reach a certain height, but in the divine will there are no boundaries. Effects of the mere words, will of God. As I was in my usual state, I was feeling all oppressed because of the privation of my blessed Jesus. Then he came for just a little, and told me, "My daughter, all other virtues in the creatures build a wall of a certain height, but the wall of the soul who lives in the will of God is a wall so high and deep that neither its depth nor its height can be found. Also, it is all of pure and solid gold, not subject to any misfortune, because since this wall is in the divine volition, that is, in God, God himself keeps it. And there is no power that can defy God. And the soul, while living in this divine volition, is clothed with a light all similar to the one in whom she lives, so much so, that also in heaven she will shine more than all the others, in such a way as to be an occasion of greater glory for the very saints. Ah, my daughter, think a little bit of what an atmosphere of peace and of goods the mere words, will of God, contain. At the mere thought of wanting to live in this atmosphere, the soul feels already changed, she feels a divine air investing her, she feels her human being dissolved, she feels divinized, from impatient, patient, from proud, humble, docile, charitable, obedient, in sum, from poor, rich. All the other virtues arise to surround, like a crown, this high wall which has no boundaries, because, since God has no boundaries, the soul is dissolved within God, she loses her own boundaries, and acquires the boundaries of the will of God. February 23, 1906 How Jesus was nailed to the cross in the will of the Father. This morning I was thinking of our Lord in the act in which they were nailing him to the cross. I was compassionating all of him, and blessed Jesus told me, "My daughter, not only my hands and feet were nailed to the cross, but all the particles of my humanity. Soul and divinity were all nailed in the will of the Father." In fact, the crucifixion was the will of the Father, therefore I was nailed and transmuted completely in his will. This was necessary because, what is sin but withdrawing from the will of God, from everything that is good and holy which God has given us, believing to be something of one's own, and offending the Creator? And I, in order to repair for this audacity and for this self-idol which too the creature makes of herself, wanted to dissolve my will completely and live from the will of the Father at the cost of great sacrifice. February 28, 1906 The greatest honor that the creature can give to God is to depend on His divine will in everything. The way in which grace communicates itself. This morning blessed Jesus made himself seen for just a little, and told me, "My daughter, the greatest honor that the creature can give to God is to depend on His divine will in everything, and the Creator, in seeing that the creature fulfills her duty of creature toward the Creator, communicates His grace to her." And while he was saying this, a light came out of blessed Jesus, which made me comprehend the way in which he communicates grace. I understood it in this way. For example, the soul feels within herself the annihilation of herself, she sees her nothingness, her misery, her inability to do a shadow of good. Now, while she feels this way, God communicates His grace, and the grace of truth, in such a way that the soul can see the truth in everything without deceit, without darkness. And here is how: what God is by nature, eternal truth which cannot deceive nor be deceived, the soul becomes by grace. That is to say, the soul feels detachment from the things of the earth, she sees their fleetingness, their instability, how everything is false, everything is wrought, which deserves to be abhorred rather than loved. While the soul feels this state, God communicates His grace, and the grace of true love and of eternal love. He communicates His beauty, in such a way as to make the loving